Now the company creates artwork for AAA video games, comics, and collectibles. Please welcome, ladies and gentlemen, on stage, is already there, Mr. Kan Supabanpot, Studio HIVE, Managing Director. Please, big hand for Mr.
Hi,
Kan.
guys. Thanks a lot for having me here. Thanks to MDEC for inviting me. So I'll be showing you guys a bit of a collection of videos to start with that I think represent our studio. I kind of try to pave my own way so that I have a path that I can continue doing what I like in life as a career, as a profession, as a business. For Hive, we're running for 6 years now. We're creating all the famous character, original IPs for the other people. The goal that I really want to be on the future, I want to creating my own thing and launch it, and people appreciate it, people buy it, people having fun with it, they love it, inspire the other people to do more things in the future. I have no one to looking into, no example, no stories, hey, you look at that guy, he make it, and then that's how he make it. None, zero. So it's I'm kind of walking in the dark. And then the funny thing is after a long journey, now I became a story to tell. And the kids gonna refer yeah, okay, this is how I start, this is how it worked. They can learn from my from my history, from my mistake, from my success, and they can make it better in a shorter time. This Romeo and Juliet The War is actually our very first project. We came up with this book, and Stan Lee was the producer. And the reception was good. It was the top New York Times bestseller book. And now, 5 years later, Lionsgate announced that the rights to be made into a movie. I believe we at Studio Hive now, we're probably at the highest level of the industry. Okay, guys, so that's a bit of a general things that what we are doing. We're doing games, we're doing toys, we're doing collectibles. So the examples of the games that we are doing, let me show you this one. Anybody seen this game? Left Alive?
Dancing throughout Novoslava.
So this game is actually a Square Enix game. We work with them directly, producing a lot of concept arts, a lot of designs, vehicle designs. The main character design was done by Yoshi Shinkawa, and then he gave us the characters, the main characters, and then we further flesh out the characters, and we develop further from his original concept. Also mechanic designs, we did a lot of mechanics for the game. The main one, I think, designed by Yanase-san, who did the Gundam series. And then we also did a lot of main mechas. So the Wansers, the soldiers you see in there was designed by us. So yeah, that's gonna come out in the February. Another sample to show you is this game is that Valerian. It's a mobile game that we pretty much did all the assets in the game.
Become the architect of the ultimate
So everything from icons, characters, backgrounds, everything was created by us.
Recruit agents and embark on missions to explore the Valerian universe. Valerian, City of Alpha. Download now.
Okay, and the last one I want to show you is something we're quite proud of, which is, of course, the Hearthstone. We've been working with Blizzard since the very, very beginning. I think they had like, when we start, actually in this trailer, the only thing we didn't do is this lady in blue. The rest we handle. So we did provide a lot of illustration for Blizzard for the cards, and also the cards, and also sometimes the cinematics as well. We worked with them since they were like 20 people in the team. So now it grew, now Hearthstone is like one of the biggest games in the world.
No creature can resist their wicked words. Never mind, no need to worry. That's all just a story of the whispers of the old gods.
So yeah, so let me show you guys what we do. So we have about 30 people in the studio. We do a lot of collectible developments, comics, IP development, and a lot of concept arts. A few of our clients list. We work closely with Marvel, Blizzard, Square Enix, Grasshopper. My partner Skan, he's a quite well-known digital artist. And he's the only artist in Thailand working directly with Marvel. So he does merchandise for them, he does covers for them, even a bit of a movie stuff. So here are some covers that he did. Also, even the movie, we get the actors front, side, back photos way before the movie release. So if you ask, we do get spoiled sometimes. So yeah, they send us the photos of the actors, and then we had to make an illustrations. Then they use it as a style guide, and then further use it as a promotional material. For example, this Iron Man right there would be on a water bottle or a box of Kit Kat somewhere. We still do a lot of comic production. We started with comic production. We started with a team of 5 people doing comics, and we still do it until this day. So this one is Warframe, which is quite popular. And then we do tons and tons of IP, means licensed stuff. So for Star Wars, for example, it's quite difficult for them to do due diligence or accept someone to begin the work. But once they pass on the first stage, it gets easier. So we do a lot of Star Wars work. This one is a book, a companion book. So almost every time they release a new movie, they have Imperial Guideline book, the Han Solo movie. They came up with the Smuggler's Guide or something like that. So this was the main game project front mission before Left Alive. We did, my partner designed all the promotional material, all the way to covers, mech design, character designs, and all that. So also same as the IP stuff. We worked a lot with Transformers. We do illustrations for them. If you go buy a toy, a plastic model toys, now we do illustrate in front of the box. So if you buy a plastic model kit, Transformer, that's done by us. Valerian, I think I showed you guys that. So a lot of work on that. So we do all these cute characters, and also we have like a monster specialist in our studio who do just specifically do cute stuff, scary stuff. You know, each artists are very, very different. More characters. This game is quite similar to, we didn't get to design this one, but we provide a lot of assets based on a single image from the licensor. So that's what it means to work in an IP or licensing based games. So they'll give you like a one photo of one character, and then you have to make it into 10 different poses for them to choose or for them to use in the game. So mobile game assets, that's what we do a lot. My team have 30 people, and about 70% of the people working, they'll be doing this kind of thing. They'll be doing items, they'll be doing illustrations for game assets. So yeah, icons, all the way into like, trophy, something like that, achievement, icons, backgrounds. We do a lot of background works for big games, for AAA games. Some of them, obviously, I can't show you just yet. So yeah, backgrounds. And development sheet. Sometimes you don't have to be, sometimes when you work with a 3D modeling company or game developer, you don't have to be super detailed in your drawing. You just need to tell them what to do next. So we give them we call it a development sheet for us. We do a bunch of smaller details and then pass it on to them. And usually they come back to us and say, okay, if this is okay, and then we can do another development sheet and send it back to them and then see if they're happy with it. So yeah, this is quite a good samples of what usually happens during the character design phase in our studio for games. As you can see, it's not very detailed, not super detailed, just have to, it's like a starting point of the conversation. See, it's very, very rough, but for sometimes the 3D modeling would say, okay, this isn't enough, because we have a lot of things to do. So usually it's not that super detailed. But for some projects, it's very, very detailed. For example, this one, they want the design front side back to be more detailed than others. So we provide that for them. This one's actually, they request specifically for Korean style. So the face and everything is slightly more in that style. We are quite well known for mechanics, right? This one is for Sega. This one is for a Fantasy Star game. So it's a good thing that we can also design in a Japanese way, in a Japanese style. So a lot of people are surprised by that we do Japanese style stuff. It's a funny thing, you guys know Danny Shu, right? Anyone know Danny Shu in here? He's quite popular here, right? We designed his Mirai. The suit, the big armor, the costume, I think it's called, Solar Marine. Yeah, we designed that for him. But the face is not cute enough. He was like, oh, has to be more moe, So he handled the face, but he handled the suit design, the costume design for Danny, for his Mirai. So for this one, it's very, very Japanese. to me, which I'm quite proud of. Like people can't tell it's like actually not designed by Japanese team or Japanese artists. And also the funny thing is that we are like a bridge between between a Western world and Eastern world. Usually the Japanese companies don't come and request us to do Japanese style. They'll be like, hey, I want a Western style. Can you provide that to us? And the Americans would come and ask us for like samurai and ninjas, you know. So we're like in between, and we can, okay, I'll do both. So, yeah. Once a Japanese colleague told me that it is quite hard for them to do something a little bit more Western because what they grew up with, what they were exposed to. But in here in Southeast Asia, I think you and me, we get a bit of both. We get a good exposure from both sides, from American side, from Japanese side. So I think that's quite a good thing that we can do both styles. This one is actually our first big movie project. It was called Brave Storm. It was released in Japan. It's based on I think this guy is a Kamen Rider actor as well, and this is based on an old Kamen Rider style TV show from Japan like 30 years ago. It's a Silver Kamen and Red Baron. Red Baron is a big TV show like 40 years ago. So we redesigned it. The key is they just tell you to modernize it, make sure it moves. So they want to make into a toys as well. And this one, they just tell you, hey, I want a Silver Kamen version of Iron Man with different armors. So yeah, we did give him that. It's quite successful. So it's fun to be a concept designer, and then when they finish off your guns, they tell you how it works, and then they actually made it into a props, and that's like the first time seeing it in the real thing. It's quite cool. And yeah, it's still a stage design. So this was Raiden, which was a Japanese arcade game, shooter game. We did all the stages design. And this is more of an illustration for card games. It's getting not so popular these days, card games. But as you can see, my partner Skan, as a main creative director, he's very, very good in mechanic designs and sci-fi. He's very, very well known for that. And I use that as our advantage. So when people see Hive, they think of sci-fi design. But we do a lot of fantasy stuff. Most of our team they're able to handle this kind of style. So a lot of fantasy art. I think fantasy art is much more popular than sci-fi right now. This one is for, you guys have Garena here? In here. So we work closely with Garena on all their games. This is it's like League of Legends, but it's quite popular in Thailand. So we work on their loading screens, we work on their skins, we work on their promotional material. No, and Hearthstone. Hearthstone, up until now, we still do a lot of icons and items for them. It's been 10 years, a long time. And we do a lot of 2D assets, like photorealistic assets. These ones are more of what the majority of the team are working on. They work on they don't have to be like super talented designers. We need someone who's able to, spend a lot of time rendering the interior of the train. Not everyone would be able to do that. So usually I have a team. We have 2 floors. The top floor, the second floor is a designer floor, and then the second, the ground floor is we call it the render team, the render. So they like to see everything fully rendered, fully finished, very detailed. So yeah, I separate my team into 2 floors, and it works quite well because if you tell the design team to like do more render, they'll be like, oh no, I don't want to render. And then if I tell the render team, hey, I want it faster, the design more, they'll be like, nah, I want it really rendered. So yeah, you have to understand your artist. But I'll touch on that in my next slides. So these kind of games are more bread and butter for the studio. So it's easier to do, time consuming still, but it's less pressure and easier to manage. So we honestly like these kind of projects. So it's not that stress working. Some samples of the assets. We do some 3D, but not a whole lot of 3D. A majority of our team is doing collectible development. So we only have a few guys to support when our client really need you to do something. But we're not focused on 3D now. We are much more focused on 2D and concept design. But apparently this game is very popular in Japan. So I just put it in my slideshow. The advantage of having a strong 2D team is that you can do a lot of fake stuff on this, like fake lighting, fake shadows, and the clients like that. They said, oh, you have a very strong 2D team. Can you help us do 3D? I'm like, okay, we're not good at 3D, but yeah, we can try to overcome that using our 2D skills. So yeah, that's the game I talked about. That's the game I showed you before, Left Alive, which is PS4. It's gonna be out soon, so please look for it. We spend a lot of our time. We spend a lot of our manpower on this game, and it should be good. Another game we worked on was for Travis Strikes Again. So we work closely with Suda-san, Suda51. So No More Heroes is something we are quite familiar with. We did the stage concept for this game, and also like some assets like the signboards and things like that. So yeah, we have a very good relationship with Grasshopper, and we hope to continue doing more stuff with them. We do a lot of localization and special content for local Thailand content. For example, like I said, Garena would give you a ton of work on, I need a new skin to sell every week, every month. So you have to pump up their Chinese New Year style skin in red, or Golden Week. You gave them gold guns and dragon guns and things like that. So it's quite wild. It actually sounds quite boring, but in reality, it's quite fun because they are really wild. And once they get past a stage when the game is quite stable, it's quite fun to go crazy with the design. So yeah, we're quite lucky they give us an opportunity to do that. Yeah, golden guns. I mean, who use that in real life, right? And here's the toy development side. We do a lot of toy development. We're quite known for toy development now. Um, most of our work for games is backdoor. It's outsourced, so we don't get our names out there so much. But with toys, we can put our logo there. We can put our designs there, and we get recognized for it, which is nice. So we usually do a high-end collectibles. Mufisal is a master in the sculpting. So next session. We also do a lot of sculpting for action figures. This one is by Storm Collectibles. This is really, really good, guys. Like, you can try comparing it to other toys, and then you know right away. Oh yeah, we have a Japanese translator in-house, so we can work with Japanese people, Japanese companies more directly. So, okay, that's my pitch deck. So I'll show you the actual slides for this event. Okay, these are a little bit all over the place. You know, I'm now at chapter 3 in Red Dead Redemption. So, yeah, blame it on Rockstar for releasing it so close. So we have 3 core business. I have Studio HIVE, which is our main one, our first one. We do design, digital art, concept art, pretty much anything to do with design goes to HIVE. And then I started another company which is called HIVE Workshop. We do distribution for toys. So we sell it, we design it, and then we buy from our partner, and then we sell it in Thailand. So we make money and both ways. We also do use that company to invest back in the projects that we would like. For example, the action figures there, I choose to invest a small amount of percentage in that kind of project. And then we also have a school, a small art tutoring school, which we do university collaboration. We do live drawing every Sunday night. So a lot of artists comes and visit our school. So this slide should be, I'm not sure if you guys know this one already, but I suppose some don't know, like mostly the clients don't really know about this. Like, I get a lot of that. I get a lot of, oh, you guys designers, can I, do a logo for me? And they're all very, very different. Like, you cannot remotely compare a graphic designer to an illustrator, right? So this is what I want to share with people who wants to hire an artist. You actually have to know first what they're known for or what they are capable of doing. If you, yeah, I get it a lot. Like, can you do a logo for me? I get it every month. Like, hey, okay, while you're at it, I want a logo for this event, blah, blah, blah. It's very, very difficult. So you need, as a studio manager, you can't say no to a client. You can't say, oh man, we're not gonna do it. We still have to. So I have to understand how to put the right man to the right job. This is what we have, for example, in our studios. So out of the 30 people, there's a breakdown. This guy is a mecha designer, Skan. This guy draw a moe style, cute girl. This guy is doing only monsters. Monster is expert, doing monster. Korean style, Japan style, Chinese style, they're all different. If you're at the level that, if you're good, you'll be able to have to differentiate the level of details and the style that each project requires. I can tell you Korean style, Japanese style is not the same thing. You have to, get a grip on what's the difference, and that I believe is what separates you as a good illustrator. You have to know your team, and you also have to know the market, the clients, what they want. Gauge like a client management. So we have a background guys, we have props guys who's been doing guns and trees and vehicles. Comic artists is interesting. It's very, very different than what we have the perception of them. Comic artists, a lot of people actually come and ask me like how to become a comic artist. Say, so comic artists, you need a lot of endurance. It's much more endurance than regular artists. So if the first question I would ask them is like, okay, can you do the same thing for the next 6 months at least, every day, wake up and sleep? It's the same thing. You have to do it every day for 6 months because there's a deadline. There's an exact deadline you have to deliver. So if you don't like, because artists, to be honest, they don't like to repeat stuff, right? But comic, you have to do the same thing all over and over again for at least 6 months. So if you don't have that kind of endurance, you'll be an illustrator, not a comic artist. And we also have an actual graphic designers in-house starting this year because I am tired of people asking me to do packaging, logos. I was like, okay, I'll hire one just to tell them, hey, I can help you with that. So at Hive, we emphasize on teamwork. One artwork, we don't just get one guy to do. It works for us in a way that we give, okay, if this is a Korean style, we give it to this guy and he can work with his team. And then there's a shared responsibility between the team. Or this guy, the Hearthstone project, this guy handles. So he has to double check every single day on how the progress is going. He has to come and report, work with our project manager. So there's a layer of responsibilities and also the level of supervising element to it. So we have on average one illustrations. We use about three people to handle it. Not necessarily do the whole thing, but at least supervise the artwork. Also lower risk. Artists, sometimes they go missing, right? They're like run away or something. So there's when we work in this way, there's much lower risk of them not showing up for work the next day. Then the other guy can just take over because they've been supervising it from the start. We do a lot of workshops. We do a lot of company trips. We go to Tokyo Game Show every year, the whole team. So I think it's important to invest in your team. And we are not artists. That's like our mantra. My partner Skan said it at the very, very beginning of when we start the company, that we are doing a digital art studio, but we are not artists. We cannot be an artist. We have to be a solution provider. He doesn't care how good this drawing is if it didn't make it to the client on time to launch the game. It's totally meaningless. If you think of only how to make this painting or this artwork look so polished, so nice, but if it failed to deliver on time, or you did the wrong designs, it's not, it doesn't matter. So we have to change our perception that we are a solution provider. So our success is that if the game becomes popular or sells well, that's our success. So if during interview or during a course of working together, if we find an artist that acts like artist, yeah, like a lot of problems, complains a lot, talk about art, then there's a lot of red flag there for us. And they tend to have a lot more drama than usual. So yeah, it's from my experience in running an art studio, the work itself is never the hard part. It's handling the people is the hard part. So I'm sharing with you more problems of running an art studio in Thailand. This is based on Thailand in Bangkok. We do have a good advantage on cost of living. We are relatively cheap, but the output is smaller. You have to admit the output you will not get. For example, if you hire someone in Japan or hire someone in Hong Kong, they're not going to work at the same rate as in Thailand. They have 11 to 7 mentality. They come at 10-ish, almost 11, and then they leave at 7 sharp, or they start playing game at 7 sharp. So the responsibility is a key word there. To be honest, they don't have it as much, considering the lower cost of living or the operation cost there. We are much more relaxed in Thailand, I can tell you. So the solution is to put more people in or handling them better. Also, quite in the beginning, or other companies, they struggle. Foreign studio, Japanese studios, they try to take advantage of the lower cost of living. A lot of them move to Thailand or start a smaller ones, but there's a lot of failure rate there of doing your own studio, of doing an offshore studio that is not run by the local companies, because I believe it's the responsibility. You have to know them well, how to handle them. So this is our solution. It's working for me. So we have a very strong internship program. It's a battle royal of interns. I have each year, about 100 applications to be an intern at HIVE. First, I think we're quite well known. And if you go online, you post something, if you stay with us for 3 months, the initial artwork, the artwork that you did before and after, is much different than the one after. So when the kids post it, when the intern post it, everyone wants to join us. So much that to a certain level, people ask me if they can pay me to intern at my studio. Yeah, this happens really, because we are school as well, right? And then suddenly there was one time, a student come and ask me, okay, we'll pay you, but we want to be intern there for like 2 weeks. So yeah, there's a lot of competition to do that, and I took advantage of that. So we choose out of that 100, we choose 5 to 10, and then we put them in an actual real life work situation, and then see how it goes. If they're good enough, we will offer them the contract by the end of the internship. So this is how we usually hire people now, and it works in our favor because, of course, we show them they has to be good, right? The skill has to be there, the mentality has to be there. You know what they are for working with them for at least 3 months. And then this is quite important for Thailand. It's the teacher-student relationship. You're like their sensei, right? They're not gonna like fight you or walk. In Thailand, if you work, you yell at someone, they'll just don't show up the next day and be gone forever. So this doesn't happen when you have the teacher-student working relationship. And also the university collaboration, we do a lot of that. And this is what really works well for me. I find my niche, very sci-fi, very mecha, a lot of licensed stuff. So these people who look for this kind of thing, they come to me. Now let's talk a bit more about the collectible side of things, collectible designs. So the Hive way is that we have to consider much more than you would think it would go into making toys. You have to translate from 2D into 3D, right? And then the 3D, you print it out into physical piece. And then from physical piece, it has to translate into your emotional in your head, whether it's cool or not. So there's a lot of translation. There's a lot of work to be done. And what we are known for is the dynamic of the statues. Dynamic means, the statues is really action or jumping out of the scene. When you place it, a static statue on a table, it feels like they're jumping right at you with powers and things like that. So we're quite well known for that. But sometimes the museum pose works better for some certain characters or certain settings. As professional designers, you also have to consider technical difficulties and in assembling or production, or you have to also know the material weakness, the strength. That's very important at the high level production. So you see the crystal, the power Rasengan ball, the clear ball. You have to discuss with the factory first whether they'll be able to produce that or not, or we have to reduce the size, change the material and whatnot. So it looks like we just did a piece of artwork, but in reality it's not. There's a lot of bouncing back and forth between us, 3D team, and the production team. And storytelling. Storytelling is very important in this one. Collectors, higher end collectors, they want detail everywhere. Everywhere you look, I'm paying $600 for it. I want it to be good at every possible point. So, for example, this alien, we put a little cat there. If anyone watched Alien, they would know that there's a cat, Jonesy. So we hide her inside the back of the base. So when collectors find out about that, they're very happy because we put attention to details, and with the given limited space of the statue, we try to cram in as much as we can. So the collectors like that. So storytelling element is very important. You have to know your license. This one is done by our friend Mufisal. This is a good example. You have to know your audience. You have to really know your audience. This one is $600 on the right, and on the left is like $50. And they're very different. That for different kind of target audience, there's different spending power. Display space becomes an issue. If you want to sell your toys in Japan, in Hong Kong, you're not going to sell the big toys. They don't have space. That's why Japan, all the stuff is small stuff, gachapon or smaller action figures. All these things you have to put into consideration when you make toys. it's also because I believe that there's a sweet spot for all the projects. You have to choose the right material, the right price, the right kind of license. This one is something I want to share with you guys. When doing toys or anything in general, really, there's an emotional attachment. That's the key word. That's the selling point, whether you make or break your product. Yeah, it's cool. I'll buy that. It means you spend $50 on it. I grew up with that. I must have it. I'm spending $500 on that. You know, it's very different. Nostalgia is the key, is the factor. Coming back to that, I grew up with Mega Man. I grew up with Mega Man X playing, right? And now I'm at the position where I can afford a $500 or $600 toys. But in the same time, Monster Hunter is an awesome game. I played it a lot. But I don't have the emotional attachment of growing up with Monster Hunter. So the sales volume for the higher, the cheap plastic toys maybe works really well for Monster Hunter, but people are not going to pay $1,000 or $500 for a Monster Hunter toys. But they would for Mega Man, you know, because Mega Man is something you feel very emotionally attached to it. So yeah, Moviesell had a home run there with the Mega Man X. So as a producer for collectibles, you have to understand which license is suitable for your project. A good case study would be in China, Star Wars, dead in the water. No one cares about Star Wars at all in China. Okay? You have to really know your region. Anyone know Grandizer? Grandizer? It's like a robot UFO thing, which is not so popular in here, not so popular in Thailand or in Japan. It's kind of so-so, but it's like the first thing the Middle East people get it. So they feel very, very attached to that. Every time I go to Dubai, there'll be at least 5 guys who comes up to me and say, hey, when are you guys going to do a Grandizer statues? I'm like, what's a Grandizer, you know? So yeah, you have to, each region is very, very different in terms of what they had when they were young and the emotional attachment aspect of things. And in Europe, they're crazy about Senseiya, like even more than in Japan or in Asia. So I'm quite surprised the first time I hear about it. So you have to really spend an effort to understand your market. And then the next is licensing. That's a whole new ballgame, a whole new slice based on that topic alone. And I don't think I'm the best person to talk about it because it's a totally new job for people. But I believe having the right license, the right product at the right time, you can make good money out of that. In this day and age, I think collaboration is key between game studios, also for collectible studios, sharing resourcing or manpower, distribution. You have to not look at people as your competitor. You have to see what they can collaborate to, of course, lower the risk. Good case would be, okay, I have a action figure license. You have a really good collectible statue team. then I'll give you the action figure license on top, and then I'll make a statue out of it, where using the same models, and then improve upon it, or change it into a different form using the same 3D files. So I think this kind of thing really lowers the cost, and I think it can help you be more open to opportunities. If you guys collect toys, you notice that there's a lot of characters with just different colors, like Street Fighter. There's a lot of colors for Ryu. You know Ryu, how many Ryu costumes there are? Like 10 costumes. We as a collectible developer, we love it. We just keep changing the color, keeping the same mold, and yeah, we can sell it again. So that's what I mean by sharing resources. So yeah, that's my last slide. So I should have done it in a more fancy way, but this is our synergy. So we do designs, and then we also sell the stuff that we design for our partner. So you can make money twice. And then you can also help them promote. You can also discuss with them about investment. You can help them with the partnerships, with licensing. You know, all these things for us cross over all the time, and it really, really works well for us. So I hope my talks have given you guys some tidbits and info that you can use for your studio or for the work that you are doing. Okay, thank you guys.
Let's hear it for Hive. I see a lot of big smiles. Do you guys have any questions you want to put forward? We have 8 minutes left on the clock. Yes.
Yeah.
You can just 2 questions. Okay, hang on. Let him answer the first one. As a studio that works out of Thailand, what should the artist do to improve the art direction? Is that correct? The art industry.
I believe that education is key. Government agency is key. I have no control of either of those, but yeah. Well, you know, when about, let's say 5 years ago, I was really into it. I was, I have to change this, change that, and as time passed, I kind of mellow out. I kind of, just stick to your own thing. Try to improve your own projects. Prove to people that okay, this is what you can do, and expand your own team. Because in my experience, when you try to do something to improve the whole industry, you have to deal with a lot more people, and sometimes it doesn't work in your favor. Government change. Suddenly you're talking to this guy and he's gone. It happens a lot in Thailand. But education-wise, we try to do what we can. We have a lot of school visits. They come every month or so, all from all over the country, and we'll be happy to give talks. I send my artists to talk to students, inspire them, hold a short course, do whatever I can on that part, on the educational part. I think it's very, very important. I think in here, you guys have it solid, both MDEC, and also there's a lot of institution that teaches really, really good art and supply people to the industry. Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess you have 2 questions, right? But Does anyone else have a question? Okay, let her ask a question first. We got a mic coming to you.
First off, thank you so much for the presentation. It was very information packed and
Let's keep it
it
to
was very
one
useful.
question, please. 'cause
Yeah.
we're
I just
short
want to
time.
thank first. But it's more of a curious question that I want to ask is because you mentioned that you started off with, I think you said you started off with comics or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was at one point did you decide like I want to start making like provide like assets for like different like companies and like make toys and stuff like what was the decision there? Like
we always like we just have a passion in I only like comics, games and toys, right? I think most of us do. I have some backgrounds. I used to do a game media before. I was doing guidebooks and website for games reviews, whatever those stuff. So I had some backgrounds in gaming. So my partner did as well. So we know that eventually we will start moving slowly into the game arena. So yeah, so when we did the comics, then at that time when we started, I already started looking for opportunities in the video game industry.
I see.
Yeah, but for toys, it's kind of spiral because I push for toys. I want to make toys. I visit trade show. I go to China. I go to Hong Kong to try to find a partner who makes toy who I can talk to.
Okay. Thank you.
Let's give it up for Hive, ladies and gentlemen, and the amazing work that they do. Thank you so much for joining us here and sharing your journey.